It's exactly how Russians speak. All right, mate, how's it going?
Hello,
Hello.
this is I Hate Your Movie.
It is.
It's where we inflict movies on each other for your entertainment. I almost didn't get that.
Okay.
My name is Dan,
My name is Rick.
and this week it was my recommendation.
Look at your gleeful little smile.
I love history.
Yeah?
I love history. I majored in history. And I love when history and movies come together in like a fresh and unique ways. Lots of facts to spit at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it's going to be a bit of a political episode. I'm going to be as impartial as I can be. But we're talking about nuclear weapons here. So, just to let you know.
Everyone just turned off.
Hey, if you keep listening, then I will spew a fun fact that you might never heard of. That your whole life was hinging on one man and one man only. Listen more for... Cut to 7 ad breaks. So this week we watched Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bum.
Okay.
And I definitely didn't read that. It was directed by Stanley Kubrick and stars Peter Sellers. Oh yeah, James Earl Jones. Picked randomly on the week of his death, his first movie role. How weird.
R.I.P.
And George C. Scott, your favorite character from Exorcist 3, the angry policeman. Remember?
No,
Ah,
not at all.
that was the only positive thing you said about that.
Really?
1964.
Yep.
A tense Cold War situation. Everyone was like ready to launch the nukes. It's a satirical movie about what happens if the order to drop the nukes go out. But before we get into all that, Richard Jonas Evans, what is your one sentence review?
That this is an absolutely fantastic, brilliant premise for the start of a film. I kept expecting something else to happen. The very start of this film was brilliant. It raised a lot of questions. It was funny. It really challenged you to kind of think about a few things from history, and then nothing happened for like another hour.
I'm always shocked at what you're going to say. Even if I know you're not going to like a movie, I'm always shocked at what the hell are you going to have issue with. It's like the weirdest thing.
It's like, oh no, this guy has gone out of rank and he's launched these nukes and he shut the base down.
Yeah.
And then they just spend an hour arguing about it. And like talking about it, and then he phones the Russian guy and he's like, oh, do you want to shoot the planes down? Yeah, I'll shoot the planes down. Okay, I shot some of the planes down. Okay, but you didn't shoot all the planes down. Oh, you should probably shoot all the rest of the planes down. Comical. I'm a general and I'm American. It's just that for an hour, and it's just.
First of all, I don't even know how to start. Those scenes are full of tension, for example.
No, they're not.
And they're full of comedy. Like hilarious, not laugh out loud comedy, because it's...
I think you need to look up the word hilarious. If you think hilarious doesn't mean laugh out loud,
Okay.
I think you're very mistaken. It's humorous.
It's very humorous, yes.
Yeah, that's it. It's humorous.
Yeah, it was very humorous. It was very amusing. It was very funny. It was very thought-provoking.
It was very thought-provoking, but it was the same thought over and over and over and over and over again.
No, I disagree with that.
Yeah?
Even though it's just people talking, that dialogue evolves into something quite Nazi. Anyway, not to spoil too much. I love this movie. I even love it more now than when I first watched it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have like a whole new respect for it.
I kept expecting something else to happen.
Yeah.
This would be a good start to a Mission Impossible film. This army general has launched nukes towards Russia. Ethan Hunt. Now you have to go to Russia to stop the nuke hitting. But it's none of that. It's this guy's launched a nuke rocket.
Yeah, it's not an action movie.
I know it's not, but it should have gone somewhere. And then you follow Ethan Hunt to, on his journey throughout Europe to get to Russia or whatever. You don't just sit in this same room or same 2 rooms for the rest of the film.
I don't know why I say no, I disagree with you. I've noticed that before, like, you're like saying horrible things And then I'm go, yeah. I'm like, no, why am I saying yeah? Fuck you. What I propose is that it does go to places and it does elevate to different places, but it is within the dialogue that happens. It's not Ethan Hunt going in the Siberian snow towards Moscow slowly with the rocket launcher, but it is what people talk about and how the conversation evolves. And you might argue that's not very filmmaking-y, that's not very filmy, but it's mostly through dialogue, and I agree. It could have been easily a book. If that is also my criticism. It could have been a book. It could have been a stage play, which is what they're doing now. It's quite a strong satire, and sometimes that's not very subtle.
Not very subtle.
When the people are shooting, when it's a giant sign that says "Peace is our profession."
That was the thing that really baffled me about this film, by the way.
Yeah.
There was times in this you just laughed, and I could not for the life of me figure out why.
It was those things, and it was
There
like...
was another one that was like, it didn't say peace is our profession, it said keep off the grass. And you were like...
Yeah, that is funny to me. That on the battleground, in the bang middle of your shot, there's a keep off the grass sign. It's like people killing. I think that is funny.
Okay.
Even though it's not very subtle, the pieces are profession. Constantly in the background as they're fighting is funny. Some things where it was just maybe too much. Like calling the psychotic guy who orders the nukes literally Jack the Ripper. His name was Jack D. Ripper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the names meant something. You got the satire of this movie.
Yeah. World politics is crazy.
Yeah.
That's it. It's the entire satire. It says it in the first 10 minutes and it repeats it for the next hour and 20.
I want to check with you because you haven't looked up anything about this movie.
Yeah.
There is an actor that plays 3 different roles in this movie. Have you got them all?
Strangelove, the pilot, and someone else. The president?
Not the pilot. So it's Peter Sellers.
Mm-hmm.
He was the original Pink Panther.
Okay.
He's like a somewhat comedic actor. He plays the president,
Yep.
the Nazi,
Strangelove,
and the British Mandrake.
Okay.
And I picked up on that guy playing Mandrake, the British RAF pilot, and the Nazi, but I didn't pick up on that he also plays the president. That one was so different to me that I just didn't pick up on that. It was weird.
I didn't pick up on any of it.
Yeah.
It's, I will give him props for that. They are 3 very unique characters that I would not have put down to being the same person.
Yeah, it's very, very different performances, very different accents, different type of people.
Yeah.
I think he steals the show in every way. This is a very weird thing that I wanted to look into, but I couldn't quite get there yet. But Stanley Kubrick, you know him as there's the intense guy. People know him as the guy who's like, he has to be perfect. Yet in this movie, there's a lot of improvised things, mostly by Peter Sellers. And there's a story where they had like 6 cameras on him, and they like had no idea what he's gonna do. And famous moments, like when he gets up from the wheelchair, like Mein Führer, I can walk. That's the most famous thing from this movie. Is completely improvised. His glove is improvised. That was Stanley Kubrick's glove.
Okay.
Peter Sellers thought it looked menacing, so he just put it on. It's just weird to me that such a Kubrick guy, who's usually like this meticulous perfectionist, goes like, just put the cameras on the guy. I don't know what he's gonna do, but let's just do it.
So starts off with a little news article or news, like it tells you that the Soviets are working on a doomsday machine.
No, it actually starts with no real people are presented in this movie, which is when I was in film school, they told me the only reason to put that in your movie is because it's the people are presented in this movie. They just want to get away with it.
Oh, wait, that's not true. Like, that's in freaking Finding Nemo, for God's sake. That's in the Avengers. I know for a fact, because that's in every Marvel film.
Okay.
I know that for a fact, because I've sat through the credits of every Marvel film.
Okay. But, it's at the beginning, and it's like the first thing you start film is like,
yeah,
just to let you know.
Yeah, in this, it's used as a kind of like wink.
It's a shield as well, yeah. It's like, don't get us.
So it starts off with the base leader. He phones everyone and he says, we're going into Code Red or Code R.
Jack the Ripper.
And the base shuts down.
Yeah.
Because he's given the code to one of the planes that are perpetually in the air.
Yeah.
To go nuke Russia.
He gave all the planes.
Yeah?
Yeah, he gave all the planes.
That did confuse me later, actually.
Because we mostly follow one plane, the one that makes it.
Yeah.
but it is, you can see in the background in the war room,
Yeah.
there's lines, and they just, all of them keep approaching on Russia.
At one point, the Ripper guy definitely says that he's done it so that America has to follow through with it.
Well, yeah.
And send everyone else.
No, you got the first part right, not the second part. His idea was that if he starts this war from the Russian side, it will look like an act of aggression.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he means by the US has to follow through, because there's no turning back, obviously. That's what he meant.
Okay.
But he did send all the planes.
Right.
We just followed one, the James Earl Jones plane.
Mm-hmm.
Starring James Earl Jones, saying, it's on, it's blinking.
This isn't working. And it's still not working.
Yeah.
It's still not working. No, it's still not working.
Oh yeah, this movie starts with the refueling thing.
Yeah.
There's the thing where Kubrick wanted to make it like phallic.
Mm-hmm.
There's like sex.
Okay.
And I think he achieved it. I think it looks weird. And he was like just hoping that, because he didn't really have control over that, he was just hoping that the footage looks like that.
Here's a question, right?
Yeah.
It's quite a scary question.
Mm-hmm.
How possible do you think this is?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this. Because this actually happened.
Oh, really?
So this is what I was alluding to in the beginning of the episode. You and me and my fucking dog can thank their life to one Russian fucking soldier.
Yeah?
So it was in 1984. The Russian submarine got the codes to nuke the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have fucking ended the world at that time. And I don't know what the ranks were, but 3 of them had to agree that, yes, we're putting our keys in and turning it, nukes.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them agreed and 1 didn't.
Okay. What was that based on?
He just didn't want nuclear war. It
Okay.
was just completely his conscience, just fucking hoping that it's not right. That guy deserves, he got some medals, but he deserves more medals. He died recently.
Okay.
So yeah, this actually happened.
Wow.
It might have happened more times. This is the one we know about.
Was it an intentional message?
No, it was a glitch. It was a glitch. That's what I mean. It was almost like this in this movie, except he wasn't a crazy person. It was just a glitch.
Right. Well, surely it might not have been his conscience then, because he might have just radioed base and be like, hey, is this right? And they'd be like, no, what are you talking about?
The way I understand it, it was like a...
It's exactly how Russians speak. All right, mate, how's it going? You want us to nuke the Americans, yeah? Yeah, nice one. Yeah, sweet. Nah, it's not on. Okay, cool.
Not on. It's not on. Is the order not on?
It's not on, mate.
Okay. All right, guys, call it off. It's not on.
By the way, if you're enjoying this episode, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And we also have a Patreon.
Where for £1 or $1 a month, you can listen to bonus episodes that we do, and also recommend us movies and join a great community of people. Patreon.com/IHateYourMovie. It's also in the description box. Check it out. Thank you very much. I don't know much about the details. I know it was like an immediate strike thing.
Okay.
They had to do it immediately. And I think that was restricted communications because they were on a submarine deep under ocean. I think they were near Cuba.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it wasn't part of the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's different.
Yeah.
This was just a quiet one, which people didn't even know about for like a decade. So there you go. It can happen.
Wow.
We did our clickbait story now. I feel like this really annoyed you. And this annoyed me on my first watch as well.
Okay.
Which was the very methodical way they operated the plane. And that everything was shown. You know.
I didn't mind that at all.
No, you didn't mind that?
No.
That really bugged me when I first watched it. I was like, why is this all necessary? Why is that the light is blinking and the thing is blinking, and why are they repeating it to each other? And then, you know, there's almost like a conveyor belt of communication as well. It's like you're down there at the plane, and then you have to communicate through 3 different people that is blinking, and each one of them repeats it. I found it different this time. It was kind of an illusion of bureaucracy. It's almost like the keep of the grass sign, where it's like there's an illusion that the people in charge know what they're doing just because they know the mechanics, even though
chain of command thing.
Yeah, but even though they shouldn't be in charge of a nuclear bomb, no one should be. But just because they go like, yes, we know everything, what the C-17 means and things like that. We know what these technical jargon almost works like how you trust a person in a white coat, in a doctor's coat, more than regular person, you know, even though I can just put one on. I thought that was really effective that way.
Okay. I just thought it was people in a plane. It's people running a plane. That's how planes run.
Way to take out the artistry of it.
They're professional plane drivers.
Yes, thank you for that callback.
There was something about war being too important to be left to the generals. Politicians, they have neither the time, the training, or the inclination for strategic thought. And you laughed at that, and I didn't understand why.
Isn't that funny?
Why?
Because politicians don't have the time for strategic thought. So leave it up for the generals. I think that's hilarious.
No, because politicians, all they do is strategic thought.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, why it's funny.
The general's view is that when he says about strategic thought, he means like on a global war scale.
Yeah.
And the politician is probably just thinking about themselves.
It was putting them down as like a kid. You don't think about this. Generals think about this.
Mm-hmm.
That was the funny bit to me.
Well, they should. It's their job.
Well, yeah, but also like people who we elect should be also in charge, you know. The generals we don't elect.
Well, if you say so. Well, I mean, yeah, they should have ultimate say in what they do, but realistically, someone who's in a military capacity probably has more strategic thoughts on war, you would hope.
Don't you believe that in the idiom that if you're a nail, everything looks like a hammer? So if you're a general, every solution of yours will be war.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because there's the human cost.
Oh. They don't give a shit. I think that's maybe portrays it very well. And politicians don't care either, but I think that was the point. He's saying is that was the funny bit in that line. He, as a general, saying a politician that you need to stay in your lane and you don't need to think. We'll think, you know?
Okay.
That's it. And I thought that was funny.
Vaguely thought-provoking. I wouldn't say it was funny.
I'd say it's hilarious.
Why? I don't get it. I don't understand.
You know what it reminds me of? Is a different famous quote.
Go on.
Is in Ghostbusters when the Stay Puft Marshmallow comes and Egon says, "I'm terrified beyond the capacity for rational thought."
Okay.
And it's just funny to hear scientists say that, which is like a very dryly scientifically saying, "I'm scared."
Okay.
And it's kind of like that. It's saying like a put-downish thing to a politician. It's like, you're a little kid and stay in your lane and be quiet now. Let's talk about funny quotes.
Funny quotes from this film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Famous one. Very famous one. Is when there's a brawl breaking out between the Russian ambassador and the US Army general.
Mm-hmm.
And the president says, "Gentlemen, you can't fight here. This is the war room."
Yeah, you laughed at that quite a lot as well.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Why?
You can't fight here. This is the war room. You don't get the irony of that?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit?
A little bit, yeah. But it's, it's a...
It carries so much as well.
It's an official, room, strategic room. Isn't it like saying you can't fight in the Oval Office?
Yeah.
Because you can't. It's a room for professionals.
But it carries so much on top of that, which is like these people, I think they were just done deciding whether, are we going to just kill 20 million civilians? Or are we going to kill way more than that, like 200 million?
Mm-hmm.
They're just done talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are going to die? And they start fighting. And they say, don't fight in the war room where we just decided how many more people are going to die.
Yeah, makes sense. Because they're the ones deciding. They can't be like children about it. They're supposed to be, keep a level head when you're deciding how many people are going to die. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was as a kind of like play on words.
Yeah.
But I don't... Okay. Here's another thing you laughed at.
Yes.
Again, you'd have to talk me through your thought process of this.
Okay, this is... Yeah.
So there's a scene in the film where I think the plane's not going to make it back or something. And they get like a box of stuff to help them survive.
Yes, I wrote that down as well.
They get $100 in dollars. They get $100 worth of gold. For some reason, they get lipstick and stockings. And they get a tiny Bible. And the guy held up his tiny Bible on the screen. And you laughed like something hilarious had happened.
Well, the tiny Bible was funny, but that's not what I laughed at the most.
Okay.
Because they go through their whole rations. They're going to war and they need to check their rations.
Yep.
They have this very dry list of what they have. And then it's mostly sensical stuff, except like the stockings and the mini Bible. Bit I laughed at is that, I'm paraphrasing, But it was something like this, which is like 2 days worth of food, 700 different chewing gums, and it's just like chewing gums. They just pour out of the box. Priorities, man. Another funny line.
Okay, what
is the Coca-Cola line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really laughed at that as well.
So it's the psychotic
It's Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper gives out the order, and then this British RAF pilot / his underling called Mandrake.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a kind of like a hostage situation?
Yeah.
Or he's too polite to do anything, which is also funny. One of the plans for the president is that they're gonna invade that US Army base, and then they're gonna send out the correct codes.
Ripper is the only one that knows the code to
Yes.
send.
Yeah, but he dies by then. But Mandrake figures out what the code is from scribblings, and then he's like, all the phones are dead, so he's gotta go to a
Payphone. Yeah.
payphone. He has to call the president on a payphone, but he doesn't have enough change. I think that's funny in itself. But then he doesn't have enough change, and he asks the other sergeant who's there, who's holding him hostage, to shoot the Coke machine and get the change out. And he says, well, fine, I'll do it, but you have to answer to the Coca-Cola company. You get that one, right?
I get it all. I understand them all.
Okay.
And it's like, huh.
Yeah.
Whereas you were like, that's what the underlying thing is. It's humorous.
Yeah.
But it's not funny. That's the distinction I draw. I tell you what I did find the most humorous.
Okay.
I've worded that carefully.
Was it the plane on a string special effects?
No.
Okay.
That's just of its time.
Maybe too much. It was a bit silly.
No, it was the president when he phones up the leader of Russia.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, he did a silly thing. No, he doesn't do that. No, we've got to work together.
It's just awkward phone conversation as the nuclear bomb approaches.
That was quite,
Yeah.
I hesitate to say funny.
Yeah, I like that. It's more down to earth humor. Because that's basically diplomacy. I could really imagine a situation like that. It really happens like that. Because you gotta be a diplomat. You gotta show a good face.
Yeah.
You can't just come out and say, there's a fucking nuclear bomb coming your way.
Well,
Yeah, that's what he did.
you never guess what. I really gravitated towards the president in this because it was a little bit over the top, but not too over the top. I found the people on the plane, they were very kind of like...
Procedural.
Yeah, procedural. Good word. Nice one. And the people on the base, like Ripper was crazy and he played that crazy. So it's meant to be over the top.
I felt like it was a bit subtler. I think it was like a sort of crazy that's quiet.
Yeah.
And it's just simmering.
Yeah, but you got that.
Yeah.
And Mandrake was, just British of his time.
Yeah.
That works. And then the only person in the war room that I didn't find incredibly irritating was the president.
Okay.
I think he played it very well. Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
What is fluoridation?
So fluoride is a small amounts harmless product that's in dentistry products.
Mm-hmm.
And it is in the water in most developed countries. And there's lots of conspiracies with it. But the idea is just that it's gonna, help protect your teeth.
Okay.
There's an episode about it in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there is. Yeah, they rebrand it
They
as Water Plus.
Yeah.
Water 2.0.
Was it H2 Flow or something
Yeah.
like that? H2 Flow. that was fluoridation.
Really?
Yeah.
Think of H2 Flow as an app for your teeth. The more flow you take in, the more sparkle points you get. Get enough sparkle points and you're on your way to your first Aqua Badge. Collect enough Aqua Badges and we'll welcome you to the H2 Flow Platinum Club.
So to explain why we're talking about that, that's, the general thinks it's a communist plot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And we're going to raise the bar a little bit here in our intellectual conversation.
Oh, shit.
I have never understood why Americans feel so negatively towards communism in general. I understand when countries have problems with each other, barriers and that kind of thing, but very rarely do you hear in American shows, oh, I hate those Russians. Mm-hmm. They always say, I hate those commies.
Or socialist. That's a dirty word for them. Even though it's Europe is full of socialist parties and stuff. As I understand it,
yeah,
It's mostly propaganda. So around the time of Nixon, there were lots of tiny little things that they changed. So for example, in God We Trust, on the money they put in God, because communists were atheists.
Okay.
They did the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, that creepy thing kids do in America, where they pledge their allegiance to the flag. They did that back then. And it was all just these little things that kind of propagandized the Red Scare. It was an ideological war. And they were, to be fair, they were trying to criticize the ideology more than the people, which is good. But it became too propagandized, so that those things became dirty words, you know?
So do they see communism as a direct challenge to their way of life?
Yes, in a way. And like a kind of antithesis of capitalism. Like it's almost like black and white, capitalism, communism.
But are you sure you want to use capitalism, not democracy, in that sentence?
No, because you can have communist democracies.
But is that the way they see it? Because if you ask
No.
the average American, you know, what kind of society do you live in, they will say democracy.
Yeah.
You won't get many like people that say capitalism.
That's the propaganda part.
So that's how they see it, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because it's not a direct challenge against capitalism, but they won't see it that way. They would see it as a direct challenge to democracy.
Yeah, correct. You can see Trump's speeches where he goes like, Kamala is a communist, Marxist, this and that. And that's just preying on that kind of old propaganda. But the regular people have no idea what Marxism is. You know, it's just scare words that sound scary.
There we go. So ends our
Well, I've got
highbrow discussion.
I've got an addendum to this if you want.
Yeah?
And it kind of bleeds back into the movie. I've got a question for you.
Ooh.
For a change. Do you think there were, at any point, actual Nazis working for the United States government?
Yes. I just know this from the ether.
Yeah.
And whether or not I've seen it in like actual documentaries or I've seen it as part of 90210 or whatever. that hidden episode that nobody knows about. But it's a...
Operation Paperclip was a secret US program that recruited over 1,600 German scientists, engineers and technicians after World War II. Its goal was to leverage their expertise, particularly in rocketry and weaponry, to advance American military and space technology, while also preventing this knowledge from falling into Soviet hands. Some of the scientists had ties to the Nazi regime, which sparked ethical controversies.
Project Paperclip.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Project Paperclip,
Yes,
where they took
perfect.
Nazi scientists that were seen as valued assets after the war, and they kind of forgave their crimes, gave them new identities, and made them work for the American government. It's called Project Paperclip because when they had a paperclip on their file that associated them with like something else, they took it off, and that's how you could tell a file was part of Project Paperclip, because it had the mark in the corner.
I didn't even know that. Was it Clippy?
Had a little smiley face on it.
Can I help you find some Nazis today?
No, they already were Nazis. Can
Yeah.
I help you find somewhere to live today? How can I absolve you of your crimes?
And just going back a little bit, because that's how I connect the two, your question and my question. Part of the propaganda from the United States was, as soon as they realized that the competing world power will be Russia and the Soviet Union, on the first second then the World War II was over, even though they were fighting Nazis, they started emboldening Nazi regimes and like funding far-right ideologies around the globe,
Right.
because it was the opposite of the communist ideology. So that also is part of the propaganda.
You go to Harvard University. Oh, we have a new professor. Hello there!
It's George Smith. Don't ask about it.
Wunderbar to meet you. Don't worry about it.
It's not on, mate.
It's not, mate.
It's not on, mate. Get out.
It's not happening. Oh, how our discussions
Yeah.
peak and trough.
Between stupid and smart.
I'm not sure we'd go as far as smart.
Between very stupid and less stupid.
At what point do they introduce Strangelove.
He's kind of there all the time. That's why I didn't realize that he and President is the same actor.
Okay. Because there's a moment in this film where I woke up. Genuinely.
Oh, boo.
And he was just there on the screen. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm. He was always there. I bet he was like an extra. They just put a wig on or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he started talking when the possibility of just this domino effect of triggering a doomsday device that triggers another doomsday device came up. That's when he went, I've got an idea, Mind Führer, Mr. President. I feel like that's when the movie became really something else. So like, we talked about how the president is this like kind of diplomat, but it becomes very ridiculous to still be a diplomat when you're talking about people living in caves and like, how long can we live in the underground? You know, they talk about literally Fallout shit.
Well, that was the thing I didn't understand. Did they just invent the nuclear bunker? Because it's like, where are we going to go? Oh, there's these caves that do things. Like, it was nuclear bunkers not a thing before that?
I think it was. I don't know why they didn't go to that immediately. That's the funny that's not haha funny. More like, that's clever. These highly diplomatic politicians talking about how we're going to live in the caves. And it's like this backward society now. And then, of course, the Nazi comes out and starts suggesting that we select people based on what they can do and what... he didn't say ethnicities, but he was going there.
Yeah, well, how many women is it per man?
Oh,
20?
yeah. I think maybe 10, yeah.
Okay, makes no sense.
No.
Here's a question I have for you that was completely distracting for me to do with Strangelove. Why did his hand have a mind of its own?
That is a part of Peter Sellers' improvisation.
All of it?
All of it.
Why?
Well, I think it has a ending, so you know why. Because he tries not to do a Nazi salute, but
Well, he's trying not to do anything with it. It does a Nazi salute, but it's not always trying to do a Nazi salute. It's moving his chair around. It's grabbing his leg. It's doing all kinds of things.
My reading was on it that he's holding back his ideology so that it's more palatable for people. You know, he can't say outright that, okay, whites are going to the caves. He's like holding back, and that's like his evil hand that's against him. Do you know that's an actual thing, though, that people have?
Evil hands.
Evil hand syndrome, yeah.
That is not true.
It is.
That cannot be real.
So I'm not sure if it's still a thing. It used to be a thing. What happened was when you had epilepsy, one of the old treatments was that they sever the connection that connects your two brain halves, just the top.
Okay.
And that
doesn't sound like much of a cure. They put leeches on it as well.
Bring the doctor with the big nose, big mask. And it resulted in what it's not called evil hand syndrome, it's called alien hand syndrome.
Okay.
Is where one of your hands was just completely against doing your wishes. And it's really weird. So it was a real thing, alien hand syndrome. I'm not sure if anything still causes it, but it used to be a real thing.
Wow.
It's a real thing.
Okay.
Believe me for once. Stop fact-checking me all the time. You can fact-check me after that. I'll allow you to look into it.
Because we're at the end of the film.
Yeah.
They call all the planes back, but one. So this is my note for this one. The bomb doors won't open. Oh, it's the thing where he rides the bomb that everyone's always ripping off.
Yeah, that's a famous scene as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who ripped that off?
Everyone. Everyone's always ripping that off.
Yeah.
It's always like a parody, or if they can put it into something, they will put it into something. I've got an image of it being in The Simpsons somewhere.
I'm sure it's in The Simpsons, yeah. What's not in The Simpsons?
It was in The Simpsons in the 50s, though, so they did it first.
Yeah.
And then the song starts.
Yeah. The Fallout starts.
Again. I don't know why they chose that song, because they won't meet again, because it's the doomsday device and everyone's going to die.
You can take away a lot from that.
Okay.
You can have an optimistic view and go like, oh, this world is ending now, but we'll build another one. Or you can...
Everyone's going to die.
No, because there'll be Nazis in the caves.
Okay.
But you can take the view of, like, history is cyclical. And this shit will always happen. That's my takeaway from it.
Because war.
Because war.
War never changes.
You can do, like, a straight-up, like, transition from that to Fallout, to the Fallout TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
So,
Cool.
are we done?
Yeah. All in all, it was a slightly thought-provoking film, and I feel that the acting in the war room just got more and more and more over the top, and it about 2/3 of the way through this film to the end, and it's why I have such a memory of it not being as good. The acting just became annoying. It just crossed that barrier from over the top comical to over the top annoying for me, and that was it.
I think that mimicked the tensions rising.
But that was my problem with it. The tensions were rising and everyone got stupider.
Well, isn't that real life? I see your point. So what is your rating?
My rating,
Yeah.
I give it a 4 for effort.
Remember what we said in the previous episode? I was gonna trap you
Yeah?
with the last fun fact.
Okay.
So because last episode you said you might like chopping more than this. You have a bad feeling about it. And I said I'll be really disappointed if you like this less than chopping more. And I was gonna trap you if you say like below 3 or something. It was like, did you know that this movie has led to actual changes in the US government and more regulations on nuclear devices?
Really?
Yep. So this movie led to just a little bit more peace. Like it's 0.1% peace this movie brought. And I was gonna say like you like chopping more more than the movie that brought us closer to peace.
Regulations on nuclear weapons isn't the same as being closer to peace.
I think
It just means that you can't accidentally throw nukes
Yeah.
at people.
that's
as
closer
easily.
to peace in my book. My big criticisms are it could be anything. Could be a book. Could be a radio play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not very visual enough to be a film. Oh, I'm struggling with this one. But it's so good. It's so good. It's like one of the best satires ever made. And it still holds up. I rate it an 8 out of 10.
Ah, cool.
I would say maybe closer to a 7. I'm struggling a little bit to quantize it. But there we are. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Love the Bomb and Stop Worrying About the something.
Cool.
What's next?
What's next? I'm torn. Like Natalie Imbruglia, I am torn
Okay.
between something that I think you have a 10 to 20% chance of loving and an 80% chance of not liking at all, and something that I'm pretty sure you'll like, but I'm not sure it's going to make a good episode.
Well, you want me to choose?
Um,
Based on that?
yeah.
10 to 20% or 80%, that's like everything I recommend to you. So I'll go with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're going to watch A Quiet Place.
Oh, we just uploaded like an hour and a half of silence.
I remember watching it in the cinema,
Yeah.
and it was hella awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's so quiet for large parts of the film, and you just felt the tension every time someone just tried to eat some popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's quiet, not just in like the tense scenes. It's quiet most of the time. You just hear this like completely quiet scene.
What's happening? Who's that?
I need to go to the toilet. Get your hand out of my popcorn. Who even are you?
Why is there a hole on the bottom of this popcorn bucket? All right. Bye.
Bye.